So here I have an 18 gauge Ridgid brad nailer, and I put just a little bit too much pressure through it, so I think I blew a seal out here. And in fact, if you look nice and close, you can see like this right here is tight, but right here, this kind of popped open, and that's where the air was coming through. To fix that, hopefully, I'm going to take an Allen wrench and take these 4 bolts out right here. And I'm sorry, I don't know the exact size. Make sure that whichever one you put in here, it fits nice and snug. It's not loose at all. And that should be the one. So I'm gonna start by loosening these up evenly. And if you're nervous about doing this on your own, there are places that rebuild nailers like this. So you don't want to break it any more than it already is. So if you want to take it somewhere, you can. Now that those are loose, I can start removing them like this. Okay, last one coming out, and carefully pull this out, and you can see what happened. I blew the gasket out. So when you put too much pressure through something like this, it's trying to find a place for that air to escape, and right here at this connection, I guess that's where it blew out. So I'm gonna have to replace this gasket. I'm gonna take this one off. Might be a little stuck. There you go. I don't have a replacement gasket, and I don't want to wait to order one and go through all that stuff. So what I did was I picked up this fiber gasket material, and I'm going to make my own gasket. So all you want to do is make sure that it is the same thickness. This is a 32nd of an inch thick, and you can do like a rubber gasket or this type. I got that type because that's what it kind of feels like, and this is resistant to gas, oil, and water. And if you oil your gun properly, this will get some oil on it and the moisture from the compressor. So it might be a good idea to use this instead of like a rubber gasket. So this is what we're gonna use and see if we can make our own gasket. So I'm gonna open this up. This is way more than I need, but I might use it for some other stuff in the future. Who knows? So I'm going to start by taking a piece, cutting it. You just cut it with scissors and try and lay it down flat like that. And then I can take my gasket. I actually ended up breaking it, but we're just gonna be real careful. Here's the piece. Now, I'm going to take a nice sharp pencil and just start tracing this. Make sure you mark where the holes are. So since this is actually should be the same as this, I'm going to flip it afterwards. I'll just mark as much as I can, make sure it's in the right location by kind of attaching it. Trace all this out. And we'll flip it. Looks pretty good. Well, first thing I'm going to do is punch these holes out. And since I'm not a mechanic, but I do work with wood, I don't have an actual like hole punch, but I'm going to try using a nail set because it's the right size. So I'm just going to test it right here. I think that'll work. That'll probably be better than trying to cut that out with a razor knife. Start punching holes. Okay, Got the holes. Now we're just gonna very carefully with a brand new blade go along and cut the inside out. Just get it as close as you can. Okay, might as well try and get it as close as possible. Okay, now I can cut it with this, or it might make it easier to cut it with some scissors. Cut around the outside. Match it up, this one, and adjust accordingly. So now I can match this up and see how good we did. And I would like it to sit into this. This kind of has a lip, so I might have to trim it just a little bit. And just as a note, when you go to take this gasket off of here, depending on how long it's been on there, it could be kind of frozen on there or stuck. So you can take a razor blade and scrape it off of there. And what we're gonna do before we actually attach this is clean up the surface with some rubbing alcohol. So you can do that when you're removing the old gasket too. Try not to get anything to drop in here. You can also use acetone or brake cleaner. I don't have either of those. Now that those are clean, we can make sure the gasket's good. Install that, and then this piece. And then these screws or bolts, just want to wiggle them around and make sure they go through the holes that you made. Don't want to mess up the gasket. Might even be good to do it this way. Yep. So they're all started in the gasket. Now, same thing, kind of wiggle them around, get them started, make sure they're not getting cross-threaded. And this process is going to be the same or similar for whatever type of gun you're doing, whatever kind of automotive part you're doing. Just tighten these evenly. Okay, now I know they're all started. I don't want to tighten that too much. I want to get all of these kind of to sit evenly first. Okay, now again, go around, tighten them up nice and even. And we go tight, tight. Okay, moment of truth. It's leaking. So the first time I tested it, it was a fail, but what I did was I took this back off and I could see the outline of where that overhang was. So then I trimmed it back off of that so it sits in there because it needs to sit completely flat against those two metal surfaces. Let's see if it worked this time. It's holding. I think we're good.